Hello everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you my StencilGirl Creative Team project for October 2019. The theme was Gift It or Grit It, and Peg and I decided together that we would do gift packaging. And we picked 3 stencils to use, and this is how we collaborate for our StencilGirl design team projects. So I wanted to talk a little bit about packaging, gift packaging, and how, at Christmas time, it's like, wow, we are going through so much paper. It's being torn up, and it really bothers me um, how much waste there is with gift packaging. And so for my family, we have started reusing stuff. We have gift bags and we reuse them again each year. They're pretty sturdy, the little gift bags you can buy. And also, I like to make my own wrapping paper and gift bags and things using different art supplies from my studio. So this particular project I'm showing you here with the leafy doodle border stencil, that is L736 for those who are following along. This is a 9 by 12 and it has a lot of different designs on it. I decided I just wanted to use the middle section for my first little thing here that I'm doing. And this is a piece of paper from a package. When we mail order stuff from Amazon or from other places, we get a lot of packaging that comes with it. And if you just take this paper, this inexpensive paper, and you stencil on it with a few ink sprays, which is so easy to do, then you can make great gift packaging with almost no cost. No cost, really. I did iron the paper. It's kind of um, I guess it maybe is a heavier newsprint paper, kind of an off-white. And all I'm doing is I took a section of the stencil and taped it off, and then just using ink sprays in different colors and a baby wipe, and I'm going through and coloring all over this cheap paper with the ink. That's all I'm doing. Super simple. And the sprays that I used have mica in them. They're a little bit shimmery, but it's hard to see on the video. So then I did add a few little splatters at the end because I like splatters. I think it makes an interesting pattern. And then I let the paper dry. And I also want to make a belly band for my package. I'm going to wrap a package in that paper and then make a belly band. I decided I just wanted to use one little section of the border stencil. And you can cut your stencils apart. It's not the end of the world if you cut your stencils apart. So I just took that one section out, trimmed it out of the stencil, and now I can reuse it. It's so easily as a border. So I have some craft colored paper and that same spray, the same ink spray, and I'm just spraying using that little section of the stencil. And then I'm turning it over and getting the excess spray off onto the rest of my paper, and I end up using that part too as well. So I do 2 strips of this and then tape them together. I know I have another one here. Okay, there we go. I was looking for my stencil adhesive because it would have been a little bit cleaner if I'd put some stencil adhesive on the back of the stencil so that there was no room for that spray to go underneath. And I do have some called Pixie spray, but I just couldn't find it when I was doing the project. So I do recommend that you put a little stencil adhesive on there, and it'll stay down and not be quite as freeform as these are. But I'm still happy with them. I think they look pretty cool. I put the 2 of them together and then I fold and crease where I need it to be a nice clear fold. This is an option instead of putting ribbon on. That's you can use again if you use this box again. We also use our boxes over and over and over. We have the same boxes. We just put different presents in them each year and just continue to use them so that we reduce waste. So I glued the ends together and I slipped this over the package that I had wrapped in that homemade gift wrap. and that keeps everything neat and tidy, and it's cute looking. I decided I would make a little tag section on the front, which you could write the to from on if you wanted to. So that other section of the paper where I had put the stencil down upside down to clean off the rest of the ink spray, it made a mark. It made like a reverse image of it. So I cut a section of that out to make my tag, and then I got some green paper that is a similar color to the ink spray, and also a piece of shimmery gold paper, and I layered those together and attached that little section that I cut out to the front of that and put it on the front of the package. And there you have it, a cute and pretty and easy little stenciled gift paper and belly band. I decided to add a little bit of gold to the front of the design because I did use that shimmery gold paper underneath, which I know it's hard to see it on the video. It's even, you can't even really see it in the pictures, but I promise it's like a brushed gold paper. And so I used a paint pen to make some gold marks and add in a little bit of that gold color to my design. It also adds your own hand, which is kind of nice. So there you go. My first little gift packaging idea, making wrapping paper out of packing paper with some great StencilGirl stencils. So my second idea, sometimes we have a box that came with something in it that we've used up. And if it's just a plain box, you could decorate it with stencils. And then this box will go in the collection of reusable boxes that we can use year after year. You could also, of course, do it for a birthday or something like that. This one would be fine for a birthday. It doesn't have to be Christmas. So this stencil is called Leaf and Clover Prints S708. So this is a smaller stencil, but what I thought was interesting about it is that it could be stenciled over the top of itself, kind of like a two-step process. So I decided to use acrylic paint because I wasn't sure how absorbent this box would be. I didn't know if maybe some type of an ink or spray would soak into the box too much and just kind of disappear. So I'm using some Dilutions paints and stenciling using these brushes, which they're just kind of called toothbrush makeup brushes, but they work really well for stenciling these small things. I also have one little small pouncer that I'm using, but the brushes actually worked better for kind of targeted stenciling exactly where I want in these little tiny areas of the stencil, and also kind of pouncing instead of rubbing. So I don't want any of that paint to go underneath the stencil and make it look globby. So I'm just layering one section over the top of the other. I'm adding leaves to some of the areas. It's basically making a bush that has leaves and berries on it, which I actually have one in the backyard that has leaves and red berries on it. So that's kind of where I got my inspiration. So I stencil the sticks part, and then kind of line up the leaves onto to where it would be coming out from the stick, and also line up the little berry section. And then I put some of this lighter green color over the tops to kind of give a highlight. The only thing that I would caution you about when you're doing this is maybe do all one thing first and dry it, and then do another one over the top. I did have to clean the back of my stencil a couple times because I was putting it over a wet area. I'm impatient. I have zero patience. So if you go to stencil something over another area that still has a little bit of wet paint on it, you'll get a little bit of that paint on the back of the stencil, and then when you put it in another section, you can get a little bit of a blob or smear, which is annoying. So maybe get something dry first, work on a different section and let the other section dry, or else dry it with a heat tool like you saw me doing there. Doesn't take very long. So I did flatten out the box. I pulled the bottom part open and then flattened the whole thing. So I will have to stencil the other side to complete the entire box. And you could use a stencil that has a less fussy design if you wanted to and make it a lot quicker. But I think this turned out really cool. It looks like something that you would buy. Um, no one would really know that this is homemade, but yet it is. And it can be used year after year after year. You just flatten down the box, put it in the box of boxes that we have anyway, and save it for another year, another present, another time. I think the lighter green really does something for the design, and that's the part that I think you can layer the lighter green over the darker green to make a two-colored image, which is what I like about this stencil. It's a pretty cool stencil. Kind of reminds me of some stamps that I have where you can put a solid one down and then put another one over the top with another color. Reminds me of that a little bit. And I don't know if the designer intended that or if, I don't know, but I just thought it worked really good. And I like the way the bright green over the top of the olive green kind of makes it more interesting. Also, I picked the Dilutions paints because they dry fast. They dry a lot faster than some of the other paint, which sometimes it can be a bonus if you're doing certain things like this or art journaling or something like that. That quick drying is a bonus at that point. So once I finished all the stenciling, then I flipped it over. I stenciled the other side, still keeping it flat like this, and that makes the entire top, bottom, and all four sides of the box completely covered with the design, which is cool. Don't have to wrap it. It's already decorated for you. And then to finish it, I made a tag. I think that's coming up. There we go. Okay, there's the entire box completely done and dry. And then I just cut a piece of that same craft cardstock, and then I cut a piece of red cardstock and folded it in half to make a little tag to put on this so that you could write the to and from inside. So I'm starting with the leaves with the two green colors in the background, and then bringing in the brown and the red to make some berries on it as well. Could put some words over the top if you wanted to. I didn't do that, but you could. So I'm getting out the brown paint and the red paint and putting on the sticks and then the red berries. I had put all my brushes in the water, so it took me a minute. So once this little bit of craft cardstock is all stenciled, I put it on the front of that little folded over red card and punched a hole in it to be able to attach it to some ribbon. So the ribbon I used for this is organza ribbon, and it can be reused as well because it's a cloth ribbon. I tied a bow one direction, and then I decided I needed some to go to the other direction. So I put another piece around and tied it in a knot, and it made a really nice fluffy bow that I can just untie and reuse it another day. Then I put some gold cord on the tag and tied that on, and that package was complete and all completely reusable on another time. Well, except for the tag, if you write in it, then it won't be reusable. So that's what it looks like on a couple different sides. So my third packaging idea, this is a paper sack from the grocery store. It's the kind that you buy, you get fruit. you put fruit in it to bring home from a grocery store. And it's been used already. I had some oranges in it, which didn't do anything to the bag. It's, kind of smells like oranges. So um, I decided to decorate it to make a little gift sack. I pulled the sides out. You saw me like kind of pulling the triangles and the folds out to make it completely flat. And when you do this, you also can get the sides with the stenciling and not just the front and back, which has the design all the way around. For this, I'm using water-based ink. This is Stampin' Up! Ink in a green color. And this stencil is called Herbs Stencil, and it is L422 if you're looking for it. I just used the rosemary. I didn't use any of the other herbs, but I really think this stencil has a lot of potential. I was actually thinking about making a wreath with it. Stenciling a wreath with it. I think you could do that very easily in any type of these herbs, or you could make kind of a design with hanging herbs, like sometimes people dry their herbs. I think this is a very, very versatile stencil. So to do the other side, I just flipped the bottom. I'm using that same type of a toothbrush, makeup brush type of a brush to do this, and I'm kind of pouncing and rubbing at the same time. Very easy, very quick. This one took me very little time to do because the ink soaks in. You don't really have any drying time with it, so this one was super fast. And I did both sides, and I kind of pressed down or put more ink in some places, and then in other places I tried to make the herbs look like they were behind each other by making it a little bit lighter by just putting less ink. Then I got a piece of cardstock in the similar green, folded it in half, and I'm going to make a little bag topper. Lots of times when we use gift bags, we put tissue in them, and that's certainly a possibility. Tissue is reusable. It doesn't matter if it gets wrinkled. You can, stuff it in there and you won't be able to see what's inside. But this is another option. It's kind of like making a gift tag that also keeps the bag shut. So then the people can't see what's inside the bag. Because with a gift bag, sometimes you can peek, and then you know what the gift is before you get it. So naughty, naughty, naughty if you've done that before. So to edge the little topper tag thing, I glued on some lace because I thought it looked pretty. And then that brought in a lighter color of white. So then for my front of it, I also used white. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment or question below. And of course, subscribe because that's always helpful for all the channels. So then with the little white piece that I got, I also stenciled with the same rosemary and the same ink color. You can see it looks a little bit different when you put it on the white than it does on the craft color. So it gives you a little bit of contrast. Then I used the word part of the stencil and traced around it with a permanent marker and then filled it in with a little bit thicker one because the original one was really skinny. I didn't want to have to color all that in with that. So that goes on. I add some ribbon, and this is the third gift packaging idea for this month. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye.